Some leaders leave footprints, others leave libraries. You're tuning into the Authors on Mission podcast, where industry giants become literacy legends. In every episode, we talk with authors who turn their brilliance into books that transform lives. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, your host and Chief Creative Officer at Authors on Mission. Welcome to your authorship experience. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Authors on Mission podcast, the podcast committed to uncovering the strategies and insights of established experts who've achieved remarkable success and written a book about it. I'm your host, Danielle Hutchinson, Chief Creative Officer at Authors on Mission. Today, I am thrilled to welcome a really awesome guest, Rich LaMonica. Rich is a 22-year veteran of the United States Army with multiple combat deployments during the global war on terrorism. After retiring in 2015, he took his leadership experience and personal journey and turned it into his amazing books, The 13 Guides to Success, and also a military fiction novel, Out of the Darkness. Beyond his writing, Rich hosts the award-winning Misfit Nation podcast and is currently pursuing his PhD in Homeland Security. His life is all about his personal motto, challenge accepted, and he continues to inspire others every day. Today we're going to talk all about Rich's experiences, his journey from soldier to author, and explore the principles behind his success. Without further delay, Rich, welcome to the show.
Danielle, thanks for having me on Authors on the Mission show. This is, like I said in the green room, it's always good to be on this side of the mic and just hang out and relax with someone that's awesome from my home state.
Yeah, definitely. To everybody listening, it's really funny. We were just, bantering back and forth a little bit about how he was here in New Jersey area, kind of living out his service here for a while, and things have definitely changed since then, in terms of things being built up and all that. But it was always funny to have somebody on the podcast, and then you never know, like, the small world aspect of it, commonalities you might have with somebody. So really cool stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah. So without further ado, would you mind sharing a little bit more about yourself? And I gave a little bit of a background there, but would you mind just sharing a little bit more about, what exactly got you started writing your first book? What motivated you to sit down that one day and, start this whole journey?
Oh, that's a great question. So when I started writing my second book, which is Out of the Darkness, that was in like 2001, right after 9/11 happened. So I'd start writing a little bit and stop, like every author does. Stop, write. Life got busy because we were at war, and it kind of stayed on the back burner. And it was always in my mind to do that book. I always wanted to do that book and get it out, but it kind of just became second fiddle. Then COVID happened, and every month during COVID, I'd write a post on Facebook. You made it through this level of Jumanji. You challenged this, this, and this. Because every month we had new things we had to challenge. And at the end of the year, in December, I put, this is the 13 steps to being a good person. And my daughter said, you need to write that. Put it in a book. So I wrote the 13 Steps Guide to Success that year. She was my editor and published it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, how old was your daughter at the time?
At the time, so 20.
I don't know. When you say daughter,
23.
I'm thinking it's like a child for some reason. I don't know. That's you had your daughter on your side and kind of helping you out. I always say, like, you need a little team of support with you when you're going through this kind of thing. So that's really cool. It was somebody so close in your life. And
she got, that was her chance to get payback at Dad. So her editing process was payback.
How so? Very rigorous, I guess.
Very rigorous, because she had just graduated with a creative writing degree, so everything had to be perfect. And we had a lot of back and forth over, I shouldn't write like I talk. I shouldn't do things this way. It should be her way or the way it's written in the books. I said, that's not how I am. It has to be my way or this way. But finally, we came to a happy medium.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's how it always kind of goes with editing. And, being that a lot of our listeners today are people who are going through the same process as you, I'm sure they can all relate, right? We all experience that frustration where we're, thinking, what, that last submission was amazing. And then the editor comes back with like, well, so I get that for sure. So tell us a little bit more about that. So you wrapped up this book, and then what came next?
So as I finished this book and got it published, I started my podcast about the same exact time. So January 21, December 21, 20, that book came out. January 21, my podcast started. And as I was doing the podcast, listening to other veterans talk about their journeys and things they want to do in life, like write a book or get to Hollywood or get into music, I said, you know what? I have to challenge myself to finish the other book. So I started I guess, teetering around with it as I was doing my little promos for the 13-Step Guide to Success. I would do those promos, and I would write a little more about Out of the Darkness. And then I'd write a little more about Out of the Darkness. And then on September 11th, 2023, I finally published it. I published it on September 11th out of homage to 9/11, and because everyone thinking it had to do with the war that happened after it.
I think that's incredible, first off, that you had the opportunity to publish it on that specific date and give it that honors. I know sometimes, writers might not have that choice or that benefit of selecting their exact date. So that's really to do that. Did it require a lot to make that happen?
Just to have the perfect copy in time. Yes.
Okay. Understood. Well, yeah, I mean, that's amazing that you're able to do that and put it through as such. And so that was the first book, correct? Or is that
So this was the first book out of the
Darkness. Okay. Yes. And then the second one came during 2020.
Yes. This was 2020. This was 2023.
Understood. So, yeah, I mean, I was looking through the 13-Step Guide a little bit. So I was wondering if you want to chat a little bit about that one, or would you like to focus on the first one?
We can chat about 13 steps. That's the first one. We'll knock that one out.
I'm sorry. They keep blending in my mind. I don't know why. Sorry for that.
Right.
To all of our listeners, I mean, we all know sometimes you get writer's brain. Your brain just kind of goes back and forth a little bit. But yeah, I mean, so I did look through both of them actually. But I think the one that resonated with me the most is the 13-Step Guide, and I think that's because a lot of people on our show particularly do look for self-improvement and that sort of thing, which I think just seems to resonate a lot. So I was looking through it, and you did mention in the introduction that there's a political and social division, especially during 2020 when you're creating this guide. How did this shape the specific steps that you included, would you say?
Well, it shaped the whole book because I wanted people to get out of that mindset that we have to be divided. We have to do everything that the big heads on TV say, the talking heads I call them, because they're reading a script. They're reading whatever their boss tells them to read. They have no honest thought, no original thought ever comes out anymore. So whatever they're saying is what is being paid to say, no matter what side you're on. You're getting the same stuff. So I wanted people to read this book and say that maybe I can tell the person that I care about how much I love them today. And I can start fixing my community. Then I can take my community and move it out to my city to my state, and make everything work from the way it should, from the bottom up, instead of the top telling us what to do, and be better humans as we do it. And that was my goal for this book.
Yeah, I think that's really great, because everybody needs a little bit of something to motivate them. So just by reading your book, they get inspired by that way. Did you ever receive feedback perhaps, or maybe like some letters from somebody saying that they were able to implement this?
I think the first feedback I got was from my dad in New Jersey, because I mentioned him a lot in the book. If you didn't notice, in the introduction, I mentioned him, and then throughout I tell stories. And he cried. He was 80, I think. 80. Yeah, he was 80 when this book came out. So he was so happy that I wrote this book and the way I wrote it, because our political beliefs are totally different. Of course, he's from New Jersey, so we know where he sits, and I'm down here in the South, so I have a different mindset on that. But we come together with the things, like everything in this book is what he taught me, and these are the things he did and showed us growing up. So to see him cry and be happy about this coming out, that highlighted my life. And then winning an award on this from the Goody Business Books, saying best social cultural book, it was good. It was a big pat on the back to say, yes, it actually touched someone, and people are getting it. So it made me feel real good.
Yeah. And, if you're ever, to all of our listeners, if you're ever considering why am I going through this? Why am I putting so much effort into writing my book? That's one of the reasons why, right? Like seeing your father, light up with your words and get to experience that. It's one amazing thing. And it is interesting. I was looking through there, and you did mention that, you grew up in that railroad apartment in Jersey City. So when we were chatting about New Jersey, I probably should have put two and two together. You've spent a lot more time in this state than I originally realized, huh?
Yes, I did.
You kind of grew up here. So kind of branching off of that, how did that early environment influence the person you've become and the values you hold? I mean, kind of branching off of what you've been talking about with your father.
I think growing up in the city, in Jersey City, it teaches you have to be resilient, because if you stayed down in Jersey City, you were down, you were left down there, people would stomp on you and you were done. But if you got knocked down and came back stronger, that's the kind of person they looked for. And as I transitioned to the military after 22 years in New Jersey, and then I did 22 years in the military. So I took those 22, my first chapter, basically, the first 22 years of life is my first chapter, And then my next chapter was the military. It kind of, that resilience and that grit I learned in the city just went right into the military. And then all that comes together into the book.
Good. Yeah. And, I always say this to my listeners as well, like your experiences always do shape what you write. You write about what you know, and that, adds authenticity into your book, especially in a text just like this one. One question more about this is, if readers could only have to choose one step of all the 13 in your guide, which would you recommend and why?
I think the number one thing people need to do now, probably step 3, while outside, actually look up 3 inches, stop looking at your phone while you're walking, look at someone in the eyes and say hello. You might make that person's day. It might change their whole life just by saying hello to them. It'll make them smile. And for me, I always try to look for that dog that's down there to try to pet him, because I'm kind of a dog guy. So I'll say hello to the human, but the dog gets a lot of love too. So step 3, definitely.
I love that. I love that. I mean, Rich, when's the last time you were sitting on a train and you looked up and you talked to somebody? Like, probably not somebody in a long time, right? People are always doing their own thing, reading a book or on their phone. So I get that, right? Like, look around, interact. You never know.
There's a whole big world out there.
Yeah, definitely. Let's transition a little bit. And since, you were mentioning Out of the Darkness before as well, I do know that, this one, of course, is completely different. It's a fiction book, not quite nonfiction. So were there any challenges in going from nonfiction to fiction? Was there a big shift in your approach?
A little bit with the storytelling and character development. So character development, I had to really lean in on that creative writer, my daughter, to understand how to do it and do it the right way, and actually give each character their due diligence as I went through it. And she pointed me in the right direction. I got that down, and as I finished each chapter, I'd send it to her instead of sending her the whole product. That way it wasn't a whole monster of stuff I had to fix. There was always one chapter at a time, and then finish it. And other than that, it was just trying to figure out which people to combine from my career to equal each character. So each character is like 3 or 4 people combined, except one character, and none of them are me.
Yeah, and well, that's one of the questions I was going to ask you, because I did notice it is quite detailed, especially Bull's reflections and Justice's tactical thinking. So I guess that kind of answers my question there. It's a combination of multiple people, you would say, right, not one particular person.
Bull is definitely a combination of probably 4 of the best dudes I got to serve with, and none of them are with us anymore, and they're all with Bull.
I'm seeing kind of a pattern here then, like just your books seem to be in remembrance.
Yes.
In general. Yeah, that's really powerful too. Just another reason for everybody listening today to pick it up, right? Because it's dedicated to not only, 9/11, but also to those who served with you. And so it's just powerful and just has another layer onto that, I can see.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I guess, kind of branching more on Out of the Darkness, did any of this relate to like your actual day-to-day experiences in life? But did you encounter any challenges trying to talk about these kinds of things, being that you lived through similar situations? Or did you find it not as much?
I found it, you can feel my blood pumping and stuff as I was writing, because I can put myself back into the situation.
Right.
I can see myself right there again, and I can see the people that I'm writing about doing the things they did, and you can feel it. So you start to get all that adrenaline pumping while you're writing. So you have to take a step back and breathe a little bit before you write something that you shouldn't probably write in a book, and then try to clean it up and do it again. But it was a good feeling. That's something I would run away from. It's good to have those feelings and let the stories out, because the more we keep inside us, the less people know about what really happens.
Yeah, and I like the way you said that, right? It's like you have to kind of take a deep breath, because a lot of people listening today probably experiencing similar things, writing about something that's difficult for them to write about. So I do appreciate that tip. Do you have any other advice for writers out there in general for talking about complicated topics? It's a tough thing to do, and you've done it twice now in your books. So surely you have some advice for them.
I think as you're starting your writing process and you want to tackle it, don't think you have to rush through it. Don't rush to failure. Take your time. Get everything you want into the parts of the book you wanted in there, and then work upon that. So you can build your outline, or you can build by chapters like I did with Out of the Darkness. And you're your worst enemy and your biggest supporter. So the most you do one day, maybe 5,000 words, or you can do 10,000 words in the morning. It's whatever makes you feel good. And I know most writers have other things they have to do in life to maybe eat and stuff like that. So they have another job. So make sure you take the time during the day for you, for a mental relaxation between book and your other stuff that you do during the day. So it doesn't all come together and mess up each other. Work on your book when you can, work on you when you can, and work on your work when you can.
I love that. I love that. That's definitely something that everybody can apply regardless of the type of book they're writing or, their past experiences. Just commit to it, right? Like find a way to do it. But other than these books too, you do also host the Misfit Nation podcast. So has this influenced your writing at all? And how's interviewing others shaped how you approach your own creative work?
Well, it definitely helped with Out of the Darkness because I've interviewed a lot of great veterans that were in sticky situations like I was and seen things. And so I took some of their stories and kind of combined them with mine to make it a little more realistic for a book, to make the reader dive into that book a little harder. And it helped my approach a little more too, just by taking notes and listening to what people say. So listening to hear them instead of listening to speak. I would listen to everything they say and then kind of regurgitate, kind of the same thing you're doing right now. You listen to me as I speak, and then you're coming back and asking me a question or saying what your thoughts on that were. That's what I would do. And I would write things down on my Remarkable pad, and then I'd just, press save and then come back to it and say, yeah, that's something I got to put in there. And that's what I'm doing now with the next book I'm writing. All the notes I've had, it's coming out in that as well.
Oh, can you please share a little bit more about that? That was actually going to be one of my next questions, is what's next on the horizon? And you just kind of opened the door for us. What is this next book?
It's called Forged in Resilience. And it's the sequel to Out of the Darkness.
Okay, so it kind of picks up right where it left off, or same
about
character?
6 months to a year later. There's a lot more characters in this one. So you'll see a whole different set of characters in this one as they go forward. But some of the old characters will make appearances in it. That's
really exciting to know. And when can we expect to see this on the shelf? So if our listeners today are interested in, maybe reading the first one, and what can they expect to take a look at the next?
I'm hoping for Christmas of this year to get that done.
Okay, awesome. So if you heard that today, everybody, first off, check out book number 1. And then, it gives you plenty of time for Christmas to, read it, get excited for the next one, and check it out around Christmas time. That being said, how else can everybody stay in touch with you? If they want to reach out, maybe ask some questions, check out your books, how can we best reach you?
If you go to my website at themisfitnation.com, all our contact information's on there, including a store to buy the books. Both books are on there, plus some merchandise. All of our episodes are on there, from the very beginning of the podcast when it was just audio to videos on there as well. So all 500 episodes are on video, and probably 99% of them are on audio now. So.
That's awesome. Well, we'll put the links to that in our description box today. So if you're listening today, maybe wait for the episode to be done, but then go ahead and click on over and check out all of that too. I'm wondering, do you have any other pieces of advice that you can offer our listeners today?
Definitely. Always full of stuff to give out to the tidbits, I guess. There's something I say on my show all the time. It's stack victories. And every day you're going to have challenges. No matter what you plan out your day, if you have a whole calendar on your wall of things you're going to do all day long, something's going to go wrong every day. Do not dwell on what went wrong. Count what went right each day. So if on Monday you wake up after a long weekend and you only get 16 things right, Tuesday let's get 17 things right. And then Wednesday 18. Stack those victories and count those. Learn from the mistakes and move forward.
Yeah. I mean, you can't keep dwelling on it. I mean, the same way, like you mentioned before, you can't dwell on those editing mistakes, for example, right? You need to keep moving forward, and that's the only way you'll be able to accomplish what you're looking for. I love that a lot. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate you sharing all this about both of your books. We are excited to check out the 13-step guide and also Out of the Darkness. So if you're listening today, maybe you prefer, nonfiction books, maybe you like fiction. It seems as though we've got kind of a great mix of both here. It's a lot to check out. And of course, the podcast as well. And aside from the podcast and everything, is there anything else that perhaps our listeners should know about in terms of other content to look out for, or maybe any other things you're dabbling in right now that we can be excited about? I
started a Substack too, where I write, basically it's a blog. Try to do one a month with either leadership tips, resilience tips. I wrote a long one about my journey to sobriety now. after 40 years of drinking, I went to straight sober, cold turkey, and that's in there. And that's probably the hardest one I had to write, but it was the best one I wrote. And it's on my Substack under Misfit Nation.
Okay, cool. So we can access that also just through the same links, then we'll be able to find it.
Yes.
So to, just as a side note, being that you've now written, nonfiction, fiction, little blog post, right? That's three completely different things here.
Yes.
Our audience are also writers who love to do this kind of thing too. What are the main differences between them, and how on earth do you kind of dabble from one to the other? I'm sure that's quite the challenge.
Someone asked me this the other day. How do I stay in the chaos? And the military taught me chaos. You can succeed in the chaos in military. You can succeed in anything in life. Nothing in life is as hard as it is in the military. So I put so much on my plate now, and I try to be my best at each thing I do, and put my best foot forward in everything I do. So when I put my mind to becoming sober, it was 100%, all 100% or nothing, and it was 100% go. And then for my blog, when I wrote that, when everything I write in that blog is 100% for it. I published something on LinkedIn the other day, how to do a podcast. So just because I felt there's a lot of people that need to know some of the steps to get into a podcast. So I figured, let me write this and get some people help. And if everything I do helps one person, I'm doing great. The books, straight at it. My day job, I still have a day job where I give all my all to that. And then of course my PhD at night. So.
Yeah, I mean, hey, kudos to you. I know what it's like for sure to balance a bunch of things on your plate, but it's all for the better, right? I mean, you, for the most part, I would assume enjoy doing all this, and also it, really does give back. I mean, anybody listening today just learned a ton about writing and your experiences, and anybody who picks up one of your books as well. And not to mention, again, the significance behind each of the books too, the memories that come with it.
Right.
So. Yeah. Well, Rich, I want to thank you so much for coming on to our show. Thanks to your candor, your wisdom, sharing your remarkable journey with our audience today. It's really been a pleasure. It's
been great. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Danielle, on the Authors on the Mission podcast. And audience, thanks for listening to me ramble for the last 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, I mean, they love doing this. And to all the listeners also, again, if you want to learn more about Rich's work, you can find his books on the links in the description box. And any final thoughts, Rich, for our audience of aspiring authors?
Just if you want to be a writer, write. The great Wayne Gretzky once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Take the shot. Do what you got to do.
I love it. Well, thanks again. And remember, everybody, Authors on Mission is dedicated to empowering you with the knowledge and confidence you need to become an expert in your own field. Don't talk about success. We provide you with actions, insights as you walk the path, just like Rich has today. So until next time, keep writing, keep growing, and stay on your mission. Have a great night, everybody.
This is Danielle Hutchinson reminding you that somewhere, someone needs the book that only you can write. Visit authorsonmission.com to start your legacy. Until next time, keep leading, keep inspiring, and keep thinking in chapters. Have a great day.